Welcome back everybody to our T-38 Talent tutorials for aerodynamics. Today we'll be taking a look at the UFCP. So to start off, on the bottom we have function keys. Each function key has its own job. On the right, we also have additional function keys. Let's go and walk down through these. On the left we have a keypad. On the bottom we have an alphanumeric keypad. And in the center we have a data window. If you hear me reference UL or UR, I'm referencing these keys on the side here. Either UL1 down to UL4, or UR1 down to UR4. Alright, let's go through the pages. First off, we're going to hit this altitude function key. This is going to take us to the altitude page. We're going to be able to do a few things from this page. One thing we can do is set our alert altitudes. So if I want an alert passing down through 5,000 feet, I can put that right in here. If I want a radar alert saying I'm within 100 feet of the ground, I can put that in right here. Note, if I have these set to both, it's going to trigger both of these alerts as I pass through them. In order to clear an alert, I'm going to hit the acknowledge button. Let's go ahead and hit the both and see what happens. So right now it's telling us that we are below that 5,000 feet, which makes sense. Same thing for radar. Same thing for both. Down here, this is our altimeter setting. If we have an altimeter of 3010, I'll type it in just like that. To set standard, all I have to do is hit UL2. To go back, repeat the process. Let's move on to the set page. The set page, we saw a little bit of this earlier. I'm able to set my heading, my course, set my speeds, and my bingo fuel. Well, we already know what the heading does, so let's move down to course. Each navigation type has its own course associated. Currently, we're using VOR, which is set to 250. If we were to switch it to TACAN, that has its own course set to it. So for this one, I could set 320. That will be associated with that. Same thing for ILS. Same thing for IGI. Our speeds are set here. There's 3 different types of speeds. You have a green speed, you have a yellow speed, and you have an auto speed. You're going to see the auto when you deploy your gear coming in for a landing. But green speeds and yellow speeds, they correspond to your MFD. If I were to set a speed such as 200 knots, our green speed would go to 200. Our yellow speed would automatically go 20 knots above green speed. If we were to have a complex situation where we need to depart and our refusal speed is 138, but we had a different speed that we needed to track, such as a single engine climb of 165, then we'd need to mark 2 different speeds. To do this, we would just hit from the green to the yellow and then type in our speed. As long as I leave it on the yellow, it's going to keep it separated. So now we have the 138 and the 165. Bingo fuel is set by pressing this button here and typing in the requested bingo fuel. You'll see, once again, on the HUD, how much fuel you are away from your bingo. If I were to set this above bingo, we would get an alert. The VTR key, or the video tape recorder key, is pressed here. Since Flight Sim doesn't have a camera operating system, this is all simulated and it doesn't do anything. Our next key would be the WIT. This is a chronometer hack. It does the same thing as the other keys down below, except this one's going to pull up on our clock page, which we'll see later. We have the acknowledge button, which will acknowledge any of the warnings that we see on the center of the screen. It is not going to close my speed brake warning. The HUD page opens up the UFCP HUD page. From here, we're able to change our airspeeds. If we were up in the air, we'd be able to change this from CAS to TAS to ground speed. Or, if we're in the mil standard, we're going to see MAC, true airspeed, and ground speed. UR2 toggles the standby reticle. UL2 toggles the type. On the left side, this button toggles DCO or DRF if we were in the F-16. Mil standard, it'll be blank. UR3 key is INOP. UL4 toggles between the funnel and the LCOS. From here, we're also able to set the wingspan. Moving on to the next page. We'll go ahead and hit test. Well, now you know what that does. Let's go on to the clock page. So the clock page, we're able to set between time of day and chronometer for reference for our time on target. Some of these features on this page are still a work in progress. This number right here is currently set to our TOD. With our IGI, this is an op. UR3 toggles between start and stop. I'm able to stop this chronometer or start it up again. The WIT button that we showed before is able to do the same thing, except it's also able to reset it. The hack key does the same function as the WIT key. If we wanted an offset, we'd use UL4. Let's say that I'm flying 2 hours behind. I'll set 2 hours here, 1, 2, or type it in, and hit either plus or minus, minus or plus. Now we have the time offset in our TOD. On the bottom here, we have our bullseye. We'll set a bullseye today. Let's go for Laughlin Air Force Base. So on the bottom, we're going to type in KDLF. We're at Randolph, so it should be pretty far. To enable the bullseye, press UL1. Now from here, we're able to see the bullseye distance. On our HSD, if it was within range, we would be able to see a bullseye icon. Let's go ahead and load up a bullseye as a local airport. KONY. Our bullseye now shows on our HSD page. Additionally, you will see this on the HUD. IDT is ident. If ATC tells you to ident, this would be the button that you would hit. Alright, let's go down the side here. Going down the side of these, we're going to cover this at a very basic level. For a more advanced level on how to use these pages, go and see our navigation video. Our flight plan page opens this. Here, we are able to manipulate the flight plans. We can change waypoints, add them, or delete them. Let's go and take a look at this flight plan and see what it looks like. Alright, so let's assume that after this airport, I want to go back to USure. What I would do is I would go to the next waypoint. Looks like that's our last one right here, waypoint 999, the placeholder. I'm going to hit add, and then we'll type in USure. Enter. And that added USure as a waypoint. I can delete waypoints by going to the waypoint and clicking delete. That shuffles all the waypoints up. Additionally, there's a drop-down arrow. This means that there is a submenu. Let's go ahead and check out the submenu. Submenu for waypoint 6, the ID is KEFD, and I'm allowed to change what type of point this is. Is this a missed approach, a flyby, overfly, initial approach fix, final approach fix, or back to airport? Depending on what you have set, this is going to change how your waypoints are sequenced. We'll go ahead and leave this as an airport. To go to another flight plan, you're going to hit the UR1 button. From here, I can select any number and add the waypoints accordingly. Next page is going to be the mark page. If I hit this once, it's going to show me, hey, you currently marked your present position. Would you like to keep it? Hit it again for yes. Now, destination number 605 has been set to my current position. I can use this for navigation if I wanted to. Destination is a list of all of my destinations. I'm not able to edit destination 200. That is my IGI align point, but any other destination numbers I have, I'm able to edit. Looks like I only have 605 anyway. If I wanted to add a destination, I can hit my UL1, type in any empty destination number, and start to enter its information. Other information is I can set the time on target for that waypoint if I wanted to. This is also where I would enable my divert mode. Divert mode is currently a work in progress feature. Approach page is where I would go and view my approaches. These are all of my pre-planned approaches that would load in from the external program. I am unable to manipulate them here. My comm page is where I would adjust my comm presets. I can select my UHF presets or my VHF presets. I could change preset number 1 by clicking on UL3. I can set it to whatever frequency I want and save it. To go up and down through all my frequencies, all I have to do is hit my plus or minus key. As long as my selector is on the right field, I'm able to move that number around. The IGI page is a work in progress page. Here, the current functionality was aligning that nav. In the RealJet, I'm able to set whether I want INS navigation, GPS navigation, or IGI information. I'm also able to toggle between mix and Y if I have a GPS. Here, I would also be able to turn on and off my radar altimeter. With it turned off, I'm not going to get a readback. With it on, I will be able to. My IFF page is where I would set my transponder code. I can set whatever number I want here as long as it's within the transponder limits. If I need to do a quick swap to VFR, press the VFR button. Press it again to go back. Same thing for emergency. Again, ident. I could press this button right here, and this would ident with that transponder code. UL2 is where I would go in and adjust my transponder. I could set it to standby, alpha, Charlie, or I could turn it on with TA or RA on my TCAS. With ADSB, this is not necessarily a feature of this block, but we felt to include it anyway. You're able to hit UR4 and turn on ADSB. Here, you can type in a cool call sign. UL3 allows me to change the mode of my TCAS. I can set it to below, above, normal, or block. UL4 toggles between flight level and not flight level. What this means is, on my HSD for my TCAS returns, if it's set to flight level, below the traffic icon it will show you what flight level they are at. Versus not flight level, when it's disabled like this, it would show me how much above or below me they are. The weapon page allows me to view my weapon profiles. From here, I can also select CCIP, manual, or CCRP. Currently, CCIP and CCRP are functional. Manual is still a work in progress. Let's go back to our main page by hitting return. This is our basic page. From here, we're able to do a few different things. One is change our navigation source. We saw this before with our TACAN and VOR. We pull our frequencies from here. Notice you are unable to select SCA. You must have an approach loaded. That'll be in the navigation tutorial. Here, I can also turn off and on my air-to-air TACAN. This removes the functionality of TACAN itself, so we recommend you probably use IGI for this. Going back to our basic page, if I hit UL1, this brings me into a familiar nav submenu display. Here, I'm able to select what approach I would like to fly. So if I want to fly approach 500, I turn on the approach right here. I can also turn it off by pressing the key again. In order to visualize the approach, it would show up on your HSD as long as you have the approach mode on. You're going to want to fly this with IGI. UL3 toggles between automatic and manual flight planned waypoint sequencing. If it's on automatic, the waypoints will automatically sequence as you fly over them. We talked about the different modes before. If it's an overfly, the plane will overfly them. If it's a flyby, the waypoints will sequence before you reach them. If it's a missed approach point or an airport, the waypoint will not sequence. Additionally, if the waypoint is set to a destination number, it will also not sequence. UL4 is where I'd select my flight plan that I want to use. Flight plan 0 is default, but I'm able to type in any number there. UL4 is where I turn on and off my flight director. The flight director is currently a work in progress, but some functionality is there. And UL4 is where I toggle command on and off. From this page, if I were to hit UR1, this would take me to my bearing pointer page. From here, I'm able to toggle whether or not I want to see the bearing pointers for navigation sources. So, if we were to put in our TACAN 74, we should be seeing the Randolph TACAN. There it is. If I didn't want to see that bearing pointer, go to my TACAN and turn that off. But we'll leave it on for now. They're not too decluttering. Alright, let's go back to the main page here. If we press UL2, this will take us to a NavAid submenu display. This is also where we would change our frequency for air-to-air TACAN. If I wanted to switch this to Yankee, all I have to do is hit UL1 and press Yankee. Or I could type the whole frequency, let's say 45 X-ray. Set. Let's go back to the main menu. Let's talk about going direct to an airport. To do that, I would hit my UR1. Here, I would type in anything, such as Laughlin. That's about 302 miles. If I'm on IGI, my course is going to align to it. So I'm going to fly a 199 course to get to Del Rio. Additionally, up here, I can also load in points such as my mark points, destination 605. If I had any other saved destinations, I could do this as well. If I wanted to fly via a flight plan, I would type in a waypoint number such as waypoint 1, but first, let's ensure that we're on the correct flight plan. Flight plan 0 is the one that we want to use. So, from here, I type in 1, and that's going to take me to waypoint 1 of the flight plan. The flight plan I have currently is pretty far away, so we're not going to be able to see much down here or on our HSD. Well, there you have it, a very basic introduction to our screens and how to manipulate them to get what you guys need for your displays. Be sure to check out our navigation video where we're going to go more in depth on how to utilize this stuff for your daily flights.